Greetings y saludos a todos. I'm waiting for Tim Osman to go on Skype so I can pass him a link to this. Oops. Oh, it was already muted. Oh, wow. Brilliant. Sorry, that was my watch page because I've been able to mute it for the last few sessions. I mean, before going live. So I don't know if he's going to join us. I would like him to join us, and I'm going to give him a couple of minutes. We will discuss the gyroscope because it seems that Timmy and the rest of the Globelings don't quite understand how the mechanical gyroscope is supposed to display apparent drift. The mechanical gyroscope is supposed to pick up Earth's mechanical motion, like Earth as a bulk. You could call it a big bearing if you want, turning, and the gyroscope on the surface of the Earth displaying whatever that turn is mechanically. So one of the reasons that I started to see that Bob Nodell was not quite the thing that I thought he was, and many other people still think he is that he didn't somehow, even though the fiber optic gyro was not really part of FE Core, it was a separate guy before FE Core was even thought of. When it was first discussed, I was in conversations and talks off air with Bob and Jaren and other people. And when talking with Bob, it was in Skype. I was typing, not chatting to him. I've said this before. I said, I hope that you'll make a time lapse showing the display, the reading, because the fiber optic gyro, you can hook it up to a display, will give you a reading. Okay, you don't have to have all kinds of devices hooked up for the data, but it will give you a reading. You can set up things to give yourself readings, so you can see readings. I said, I hope you time lapse it so you can see the readings with a mechanical gyroscope right there, not drifting. Said this before. They didn't do that. That's why I say not very bright. Like, really not very bright. Unless what you want to do is stretch the game a bit longer. I mean, if they were bright, they would have come out and said, Flat Earthers prove the ether exists. They're not very bright, so they didn't do that because they're not very freaking bright, especially the guy who thinks that he runs FE Core. Mike Kavanagh, the guy who suggested that somebody who questioned him commit suicide, that guy, like, that's a flat earther, huh? If it was bright, it would have done a time lapse and shown the whole thing with a mechanical gyroscope. And having not done that, maybe do it again, this time with the gyroscope, mechanical gyroscope. Having not been able to do that for whatever reason, you think that they'd say, hey, we've detected the ether. Because look, this thing, apparently, this thing is detecting motion, but it's not motion of it. Because if it was motion of it, see that gyro, the gyro would be drifting too, and it isn't. So, sorry, I've got windows opening for no good reason. Just not very bright, you know, and it's a shame. One born every minute. Let me see, Skype. Okay, so Timmy is not in Skype. That's okay. I did think maybe when things don't go his way, he might take over the Hangout. So no, Timmy, I'm going to rename this. I'm going to rename it Flat Earthers Prove the Ether and totally hijack that whole shit show. That's what I'm going to rename this. First, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play two videos mainly. One on the ring laser gyroscope, not the fiber optic gyroscope. You think there'd be lots of videos of the fiber optic gyroscope, manufacturers, maybe advertising videos about that. They must remain ignorant of, like, YouTube. You know, I found one that some of you might have already seen, especially people I shared it to, which is the laser gyroscope from a Russian. Yeah, translated, you know, with a voiceover, you'll see. Where are all these universities with ring laser gyroscopes and fiber optic gyroscopes just showing their students the rotation of the Earth? You think they'd do that instead of trying to hoodwink the world? You think they do? Well, no, they can't do that because somebody might say, sir, why don't we put a mechanical gyroscope and then we can see the two? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play that video. The audio's a bit poor. This video that I'm going to play, I'm going to pause, I'm going to highlight something that should make the whole thing just like poof. And it will, to anyone who's having doubts, who's not quite sure. Yeah, the video is like, oh, right, okay. And then I'm going to play a video by AETHER EXISTS, this divine plane on the Earth curve calculator. Okay, so first comes the video on the gyroscope. Give me a second. I say screen share. Timmy, you missed your chance. I mean, I was going to show just the quality of a flat earther, of a real flat earther, by having you on the Hangout, despite your copyright strike being the ultimate copyright strike that brought my channels down. Okay, you know, on the back of those totally fraudulent copyright strikes from the 24-hour Sun, which were aired from a channel that I was mirroring, where I had that, not only that channel's permission, he'd asked me, could I help? Okay, so don't think conspiracy theory. Don't think conspiracy. No, it's just all just normal. Am I screen sharing? Let me see. Yes, I am. Okay. I'm going to show you the name of the video so you can go and watch it. Laser gyroscope. Okay. I might get a copyright strike for this. I don't really care. Okay. I've played it partway through. If you look, it describes a gyroscope, the mechanical gyroscope, pros and cons. Okay. And then it goes into saying, well, to remove the cons, this. And it goes into the laser gyroscope. The fiber optic gyroscope works on the very same principle. Instead of laser bouncing from mirrors, it's light traveling along fiber optic cables. That's the only difference. Same principle. Okay. This mentions something that is also it's a quality that, or a state that will also be present with the fiber optic gyro. Okay, you can't, you know, like say gravity. So the gyroscope would be present, the fiber optic gyro would be subject to it, just like the laser gyro, if that was something we wanted to discuss, you know, if we wanted to believe gravity. Something that's unavoidable for both. Okay, so please listen carefully. I will pause it and rewind, so play back the main point. See if you can find it. As I'll pause when it's happened, and I'll look in the chat, see if anybody actually notices. Okay, here we go.
This gyroscope is based on a different angular speed measurement principle. It provides for measuring the difference between optical paths for the left and right rotational rays. The ring laser gyroscope was the first to employ this principle. It had a monolithic base and looked like an equilateral triangle. Its resonator had 3 mirrors located at the triangle corners. One of mirrors sent a signal to the photoelectric detector. A two-way mirror divided light into 2 beams that moved towards each other, covering the paths of equal optical length. If the system is idle, both beams went back to the two-way mirror at regular intervals. If the system was rotating, for example to the right, it took for the right rotation beam more time as compared to the idle state, and the left rotation beam covered the path at smaller time, but in the opposite direction.
Did you notice? I'm going to rewind now, and then I'll look in the chat, see if anybody writes it out. Let's see if I can hit it just on. Okay. Pay close attention.
If the system is idle, both beams wind back to the two-way mirror at regular intervals.
Now that's a big, big hint. So let me go to the chat. Okay, I'm looking. Is anybody writing anything? Oh, looks like I'll refresh. Let's see what people are writing in the chat. Let's see if any of you have caught it. Nobody? Rock lover? Nearly. Rob Dizzle. Rock lover and everybody else. What did Rob Dizzle write? If the system is idle. Harmon Walker. Hey, long time. I'm going to send you a message, Harmon. I meant to send you one yesterday. Idle. Harmon Walker, Rob Dizzle. Okay, I'm going to play it again.
Of equal optical length. If the system is idle, both beams wind back to the two-way mirror at regular intervals.
So, my question for you, Globelings. How could it be idle? And this is why, this is the point where if Tim Osman had jumped in this Hangout, I suggested he join me. This is where I think he would have tried to take over the Hangout, maybe boot me, whatever. Okay, snipe the Hangout. How can a gyro be idle? Jason Rogers writes, idle equals stationary. That's right. And if stationary means on the surface of the Earth, and if the surface of the Earth is rotating, then the interference should be picked up by the gyroscope. See? By idle, he means not rotating. When can it be not rotating? On a rotating Earth, Brenda von Assen. Let's pay attention to Brenda von Assen. This is a question to you. By idle, he means not rotating. Great. When is it not rotating? When it is on the Earth. Explain in the chat how that happens. Brenda von Assen, answer the question. Don't try to misdirect. That doesn't prove what you think it does. Yes, it does prove what they said. Okay, so how is it idle and not detecting anything? Is it drifting over the Earth as Earth, let's say it was at the equator, and the equator is rotating to the east. Okay, it's rotating to the east, but for the ring laser gyroscope, well, for it to be idle, it would be, say, if it was on a helicopter at the equator, drifting west over the land, the actual helicopter. In which case, that gyro would be useless, wouldn't it? It's relative. Yes. Okay, waiting for you, Brenda. The Earth moves very slowly, 15 degrees an hour, not measurable of the milliseconds of time measured by this instrument. Says who? Says who, Brenda von Assen? Come on. You've got the attention. You want the attention. Yes. Stop parroting silliness. We all know the Earth is supposed to rotate 15 degrees an hour. Okay? Okay. That is very slow. That's fine. Can the gyro detect 15 degrees an hour? Rock lover, don't try to distract. So here's a ring laser gyroscope, which is much, much more sophisticated and sensitive than a mechanical gyroscope. A mechanical gyroscope, supposedly, according to Leon Foucault, can detect Earth's motion and show apparent drift. A much more sophisticated, sensitive gyro somehow cannot, according to Brenda von Assen. If you leave it sit for an hour like Bob from Globebusters did, you can measure the Earth's rotation. Not according to the manufacturers of that laser. Mong face, Brenda von Assen. Did you not hear it if it stays idle? So my question to you is, how exactly do you have a ring laser gyro idle on Earth? Is it drifting over the surface of the Earth at 15 degrees at the equator and therefore not moving in space? Moron. At this stage, the gears start to grind. Nah, there you go. Okay, so there you go. So much for the Sagnac interferometer, which Sagnac himself used to detect the ether. But no, we're not counting that. No, not counting that. What must be happening is contraction. That's something like that must be happening, because otherwise Einstein's wrong. But let's use it anyway. Let's use, despite this relativistic warping of the device, let's still use it. You're a bunch of morons, guys. If you still think you live on a globe, you really are stupid. And if you think that Globebusters are a legit crew, you're stupid. Now I'm going to play this video, which is, I'm going to go back, see if that clown has said anything. Numby Num, let Tim come on your show. No, no thanks. I wanted him on so I could show him that and have him squirming, trying to describe the gyro's position or behavior or state as it remains idle and not showing any interference. Okay, I've done that. You missed it. So no, sorry, dude. Yeah. You're a moron, Brenda. I tell you what, Brenda, because I think there's something deeply wrong with you. Hide user on this channel. Bye. Okay. Now I know how Owen Benjamin feels. Here we go. Now, for anybody who's just joined, this is what we're discussing right now. This is the setup. This is to describe the principles of the ring laser gyroscope. Okay? This is a Sagnac interferometer.
Optical length. If the system is idle, both beams run back to the two-way mirror at regular intervals.
If the system is idle, both beams go back to the mirror at regular intervals. Impossible on a rotating Earth. Why is that? Well, because the whole orientation of the gyro is changing. Its relationship in space is changing, so all of the vectors are continuously changing, and there can be no regular intervals. Okay, we're not talking like evenly spaced out incrementally, like 1.1, now 1.11, now 1.111. No, that's not what we're talking about. That's not regular intervals. Morons. Anyway, now we're going to go into this, which is a, Earth curve calculator. So this is this divine plane. Okay, all curve calculators are wrong and more flat Earth proof. Here we go. Make sure the volume's up. Yeah.
Hey everyone. everyone, this is Andy with the Divine Plane. Hope you're all doing well. I've got another good observation here for you. And I also want to discuss the standard Earth curvature calculator that I've been using and that all flat earthers are using to debunk the globe. I want to look at that and go into a little bit more detail and explain just how much of a hoax the Earth curve calculator is. First of all, we already know that we're not living on a wobbly spinning ball. Why do we know that? Because there's no proof at all of axial rotation or orbit around the sun or physical curvature. The heliocentric...
Wait a second, apparently there's evidence of orbital motion from the fiber optic gyro and ring laser gyros, because they can't sit idle, but when they sit idle, but they can't sit idle, but when they sit idle.
That 500 years to prove these three basic parts of their theory, and they haven't proven a single one. That should tell anyone with half a...
That should tell anyone with half a brain that if people are fabricating observations like Leon Foucault, who said that his gyroscope drifted according to his latitude and the period of time observing the gyro, retaining rigidity in space. If people are fabricating such information and it's being received as legit information, it's going to inform your worldview. Now, when you look at any instrumentation that goes against that worldview, you're just going to tell yourself you're seeing it wrong. And that's what you globelings do. If we show you the southern stars physically modeled over a flat plane, just how they work in the real world, with central stars in the north rotating in the opposite direction to in the south, visible in all directions south, you're just going to say, oh, I'm seeing some kind of trick.
Something very important, which is that the whole heliocentric model is complete BS. And remember, the same people that bring you the heliocentric model bring you Pluto's face on Pluto. Now, why is this important? It's important because if you believe you live on a spinning ball, then you also believe that this is an act.
1 second, something just hit me. Sorry to interrupt this. Yes, it's a good point. If you think that this is just coincidence, like, that's okay, that's fine. It'd be interesting if it wasn't Pluto, if it was, say, Mickey or what's the cow one called, whatever, any of the... no, it's Pluto, and it's on the planet Pluto. There's no longer a planet. Okay, and this is a photo. Remember, this is supposed to be a photo, which means this would be, say, the amount of light falling on Pluto at what distance is it from the sun? And how big is Pluto? Okay, magical light properties. But anyway, I've interrupted this because something just hit me. There'll be people out there going, oh, Antonio is going into damage mode on behalf of Globebusters. Fuck Globebusters. They're all a bunch of clown shoes. Like, they really are a bunch of clown shoes. They go to conferences that charge people hundreds of dollars. What the hell? There's something wrong there, people. So, this is not damage control for Globebusters. This is me trying to explain to some of the flat earthers who'll be a bit unsure, but I don't know which way to take things. And, like always, to try and reach new people and say, hey, guys, you know, this is happening. You know, there was a story that a mechanical gyroscope drifted over the Earth as the Earth rotated. And now it doesn't. And it never has done. And there's no actual evidence other than a fucking story. So that's why I'm doing this, because really, fuck Globebusters. Excuse my French. And I say this because something just hit me, which is this moron called Adam Joseph Doty, just crazy Christian guy. And I say crazy Christian because I tell you what, after this, I'll play his video. Okay, you see what I mean? That's the kind of person who would say, oh, Antonio's working interference for these guys. Say, oh, for God's sake, can't things just be a bit more simple and straightforward than you think? Sometimes things aren't as complicated as people make them out to be. The sun, for instance, is not that difficult to fucking grasp. And proving that it's not the distance, it's so simple. In the next, I tell you what, tomorrow I'll do it. If it's sunny tomorrow, I think they're predicting it to be sunny. I will prove it tomorrow. Okay, and then you globelings will have to go and try and factoring some new elements to mathematics. You'll have to invent some new elements for geometry. Okay, but you won't manage it because Pythagoras didn't manage it. You won't manage it, certainly. Okay, so now back to this.
That Pluto's face is on the planet Pluto. Now, those of you who are globelings and good at math, please calculate the odds of this happening in the real world, where Pluto's face just magically appears perfectly outlined on the planet named Pluto. What are the odds of that happening? Is it a coincidence? I don't think so. So that's why I pointed out, because it's extremely important. And those of you who believe you live on a spinning wobbly ball, you don't seem to understand why this is so important. All right, so let's get into my observation from yesterday. We're looking at the ferry, the Tirajana, just off the coast of La Gomera. Playa de Santiago is where I'm located. Now, I took this marine traffic screenshot right at the same time as the ferry was passing in front of my location. I've done the measurements here. You can see that this distance is 10 kilometers, okay, down here in the bottom left. And if you get out a little paper and mark it up with your pen, and then go ahead and put it from my location here all the way out here, you're at about 12 kilometers, a solid 12, maybe 12.5, something like that, but it's not less than 12 kilometers, okay? And you can see here that this particular location was taken at 3:14 p.m., right? And it was received by marine traffic 1 minute ago, meaning that it's pretty close to exactly where the ship was when I took the upcoming still shots that are time-stamped and go together with the marine traffic so-called GPS.
So, for the guys who think that the photos must be of ferries that are much closer than Andy is claiming, you have to dismiss GPS. And when you dismiss GPS, you have nothing to hang your belief on. Nothing. Because you think GPS has this series of satellites that monitor and have a grid and translate information, transmit information, send and receive, keep tabs. Well, if GPS is wrong, well, and GPS would have to be wrong for Andy to be wrong, okay? You can't say Andy's wrong, but GPS isn't, because GPS says, well, it's here, okay? And if it's here, then it's the distance that Andy says, okay? Okay.
All right, so let's take a look at this. Here's the Tirajana cruising by. Remember, it's 12.5 kilometers out at this point. And my observer height is about 1.5 meters above sea level, okay?
That's 1.5 meters above sea level, not above a mountain, okay? Above sea level.
Get into the curve calcs in a second, because this is what I want to really focus on with this particular observation. You can see here that we're basically seeing the entire ferry. I mean, it's darn near down to the water. There's a little bit obscured here at the bottom due to perspective and angular resolution limits of the eye. We've already covered this in depth. There is no curvature. The earth is flat. So what is getting knocked off on the bottom here is clearly due to perspective.
Hey, hold on a minute. Shouldn't we be seeing the mountains of Brazil? No, can you see the atmosphere? Can you see how the boat that you can see is kind of diffused by atmosphere? If you put that boat twice as far away, well, there'd be more diffusion. And now 10 times farther away, there'd be even more diffusion. How far away do you think Brazil is? Bill Nye the Science Guy.
But if you use the Earth curvature calcs and you plug in 12.5 kilometers away at an observer height of 1.5 meters above sea level, you get something like 3.5 meters of supposed curvature. Now, there's nowhere near that amount anyways, but I want to talk about how off that curve calculator is in the first place. And I want to start using measurements that make more sense, because
what Andy means is that truer, as in using mathematics correctly.
When we're debunking this entire BS model, it's important that we don't play into their hands and try and use their ridiculous theories that have no grounding in reality, such as the Earth curve calcs. It's important we don't get too caught up in all of that. So with the Earth curve calcs, this is what I want to go into, okay? You can see here, if we go ahead and we put in eye height of 1.5, and we do a distance of, let's say, 12.5, and we calculate that, okay, we get 5 meters of curvature. Now, when we look at that picture, we can see there's nowhere near 5 meters of curvature. This whole ferry is about 14 meters tall. It wasn't a clear day at all, but out of my...
Wait a minute. Not according to some Globelings. According to some Globelings, it's a skyscraper. That's how tall it is.
Here on the side, 5 meters would be, you know, a significant portion of this side of the boat here. The water would be something like this if there was anywhere near the 5 meters of curvature that should be here. But there's not, and it's not even close. But according to the Earth curve calc, this is where they've really pulled a fast one on all of us, because what they've done is they've placed us back here, okay, back behind this bulge here in the center, which means that according to this calculator, they essentially have us leaning back, okay? So we are actually standing here and we are leaning back this direction, and then somehow we're supposed to believe that this magical bulge rises up in front of us and then starts falling off down and away from us.
Now, where Andy's saying leaning back, he's being correct on this spherical Earth. This line goes to the center of the Earth, and the angle here is leaning down. This is the whole principle for the horizon test, the horizon tube test, okay? This is not some magic flat earther thing. The reason this is displayed like this is that the horizon, see the word horizon there? The horizon is a straight line. So how can they place a straight line on a sphere? Well, this is what they do. Lean this back, lean that back, place a straight line. That's what they do. And the straight line has to drop to the horizon. Okay, this is the dip. This here, damn it, that thing lighting up. This is the angle of dip. Okay, which according to Bob, the science guy, is much bigger at a couple of meters above sea level than it is on top of a mountain.
This doesn't make any sense at all, because according to their model, we are always standing at the top of the ball.
Now, imagine this same diagram with the person here, and this dotted line at an angle. So this would be the person, and this would be at an angle, dropping off that way. People would say, hey, that doesn't reflect the real world, because if that's dropping off that way, then something must be dropping off the other way. And I don't have to look down when I'm looking ahead at the ocean from a mountain, look down, and then when I turn around to look at another ocean, I have to also look down. That doesn't happen in the real world. So this is how they hide it. Don't think that the people who develop these things are stupid. Think of this, guys, okay? The majority of the world doesn't know that money is not a real, substantial thing. It is a faith. They don't understand that it is literally made out of nothing and represented with tokens that we refer to as money. So we refer to the tokens as money. The money is the value. The value is faith. That's all it is. It's just made up. And they can double it and triple it, and they do. That's what banks do. They make it up. The majority of the world doesn't know this because the geniuses who develop systems like the monetary system are geniuses. They're geniuses at tricking people, they're geniuses at propaganda, and they're geniuses at misdirection. And that's what we're looking at here.
Matter where we are. And if we are on the top of the ball, wherever we are, that means that the Earth, if it was indeed a ball, would start curving down and away from you at the rate of 8 inches per mile squared.
Down and away from you, but it doesn't. It appears to climb up to our, well, field of view, the center. Phuket Word is an expert of this. It kind of ramps up. So that's what they've done here. They've shown the dude here over on the left. And from that point of view, oh yeah, it ramps up just like a corridor. Yeah. See this ramping up? Well, we're at the top here. It's not supposed to ramp up. We're supposed to look down towards it at all times to a larger or lesser degree.
Immediately, there would be no, oh, it's going to go up to a ball, a bulge first, and then start sloping away. That's just crazy. It makes no sense whatsoever.
Let's just point this out because Globalings like orthographic displays. Let's imagine we're discussing this guy, H, okay, H0 here, okay. This guy, and we're saying he's looking at something far away beyond the curvature in this direction, and then he turns around and looks at something far away, same distance in the opposite direction. What would we have? We'd have a cleft here, wouldn't we? Which is why I made a video on my other channels that disappeared called The Earth is a Camel's Back. Okay? He would be in a valley. That's what he'd be.
If we live on a ball, it has to start curving down and away immediately. That means when I'm standing at the ocean and I've got my P900 right down there, you know, a meter above sea level, that ocean supposedly starts to slope down and away from my position immediately because I'm on the top of the ball. And this is what's so important because this is another way that they've tried to trick everybody into using their model of the Earth curvature calcs, which are complete hoax, complete BS. Now, if we actually just go and do our own calculations and we say, all right, 12.5 kilometers is something like 7.5 miles, okay? So we take 7.5 miles times 7.5 miles, that's it, so we square the mileage, and then we multiply that by 8 inches, we get 450 inches of curvature at a distance of 12.5 kilometers, okay? 450 inches. Now let's go ahead and divide that by 12 so we can see the amount of feet. Wow, 37.5 feet of curvature should be present at this distance to the ferry. Let's go ahead now and take that into meters, all right? Should be 12.5 meters of curvature at this distance to this ferry. Now, keep in mind, when we look at the ferry, as I mentioned, this whole ferry is not more than maybe 14, max 15 meters. It's not taller than that, okay? So according to the real calculations of Earth curvature, which is 8 inches per mile squared, we really shouldn't be seeing any of this ferry. But because they've tricked us into believing that somehow there is this bulge in front of us that rises up and then starts sloping away, then you get numbers like this where you have to plug in your observer height and you have to say, okay, well, there's 5 meters of missing curvature. No, that's not the case at all. Use the 8 inches per mile squared. Do the calculations yourself, flat earthers. I know the Globalings are going to argue with this. That's fine. They can do whatever they want. They're living under the illusion that they live on a wobbly, spinny ball, and they believe that Pluto's face on Pluto is a coincidence.
What the Globalings will say is like, if it's 12.5 meters and you're 1.5 meters above sea level, it should be 11 meters missing, without getting the fact that there isn't 11 meters missing from that ship.
Can think whatever they want, but flat Earth.
And by the way, you can prove this yourself at home. You can prove it for your children. You can teach it to your children. You can teach it to your parents. You can actually demonstrate that that's how the world works. And you can include a curvature. You can do it over a curved surface. And you can do this calculation. And then you can, well, see how much you have to rise to see over the curve. Okay? Or how much you have to move away from the surface to see over the curve. Okay? Okay. And that means you can actually test how subtracting your elevation from the final figure is the correct thing to do. Miles squared times 8 gives you figure out the you figure out the feet, you convert it to whatever you want to convert it to. Then you take your elevation and you subtract the elevation from the sum total. 11 meters. Is there 11 meters missing from that ship? No. And I say this because this 12.5 is from the ground, like from your feet, from sea level. Okay. They say they've already calculated it, you know, because of the Earth curve calculator tabulates your 1.5 observer height. Like, oh really? Oh really? I don't think so. I think there's a lot of room for maneuver there.
Stop using the standard Earth curvature calculators to debunk the globe, because they put us at an extreme disadvantage right off the get-go. Instead, just use the 8 inches per mile squared and start getting your own amount for how much should be hidden. And then you'll get a much more accurate reflection of what would be there if we indeed did live on a sphere with a 25,000 mile circumference. Okay, this is what should be there: 12.5 meters of missing curvature, not the 5 meters that the Earth curvature calcs tell us. So this is again proof that we live on a flat and stationary plane.
I just want to point out, I was in school in the 80s. We were taught that the Earth's circumference was 24,000 miles. Now, the world is taught the Earth's circumference is 25,000 miles, just shy of 25,000 miles. But globally, say, oh, you're misremembering Mandela effect. Well, the thing is, because the Mandela effect is a crock of shit, the books still exist, and we can check the books. Oh, look, 24,000 miles. Roughly. Sometimes they might say roughly 24,000 miles, approximately 24,000 miles, not approximately 25,000 miles. What's this extra 1,000 miles? Is the Earth breathing in the globe model?
Dropping off the very bottom part of this ferry, that's due to perspective. Perspective is the reason the ocean rises up to eye level. Okay, it has nothing to do with a magical bulge rising from our feet up somewhere in the middle and then start to slope down and away. That makes no sense at all whatsoever, and we just need to drop that.
Just a caveat for flat earthers: please stop saying that makes no sense. Say that's demonstrably false. The reason it makes no sense is that it's false, and it makes no sense for people to believe that it's true when you can demonstrate that it isn't. But when you say it makes no sense, some globies say, oh, they just don't understand. That's why it makes no sense to them. Like, no. We do understand. We can teach it to you. That's how well we understand. We comprehend. But it's a crock of shit. And we're showing it in this photo right now.
Idea right here and now, because it's a complete load of crap. All right, so this is more proof of the Tirahana, that we live on a flat, stationary plane. And I just want to point out as well, for certain people who like to think that they're debunking my distances, not at all. This is the path of the Tirahana. You can see that sometimes it takes a wider path from El Hierro here, and it puts it further away from my island, such as yesterday when it was about 12.5 kilometers out. Therefore, when I've shot the Tirahana in the past at a distance of 39.5 kilometers, when it's way back here on the outside route, and that's my angle to it, it is indeed about 40 kilometers away from my position. And now, just to quickly end with this, if the tirahana is 40 kilometers away from my position, which indeed it has been when I've caught it from the cliff, an observer height of about 38 meters above.
Now, just so people get this, okay, and start playing with this idea. Degrees are a meaningless measurement, okay? If they don't actually measure distance or size, they're meaningless. So half a degree to the sun, meaningless. Like literally just meaningless. It's just, you could say cockle shells or seahorses. It's half a seahorse. The sun is half a seahorse big, okay? So when we look at horizon dip from the top of a mountain and you go, oh, 2.3 degrees or 1.3 degrees, like meaningless. How many inches from the center of the frame? Okay, because you know how big your hand is. If your hand with your thumb up is 6 inches long, say, okay, then, well, it should be, by using the actual curve calculations that Andy's showing now, not the Earth curve calculators, the actual calculation. So you're on the top of Mount Snowdon, you're seeing, I don't know, Ireland, let's say, okay? Oh, that's this distance. You calculate it, great. You subtract the height of the mountain, great. Ooh, the curvature is this much. Okay, you have to figure out a way of finding how many inches in your field of view from the level that would be. Because the globe links translate things to degrees, and degrees are meaningless if you have no size. Okay, now let me carry on.
Well, let's go ahead and do our own calculations and say, okay, 40 kilometers to miles. Let's get that number first. That number is 25 miles roughly, okay? So now if we take 25 miles times 25 miles, so we square the mileage and we multiply it by 8 inches, then we get 5,000 inches. Let's divide that by 12, so we get feet. Now we get 416 feet. Let's go ahead and divide that by 3, so we can get meters. And we get about 139, let's just call it 140 meters. So if you do the calculations the correct way, and when I'm shooting the tirahana at roughly 40 kilometers away, there should be 140 meters of curvature.
I'm not sure at this area where it's meters by inches. I'm not sure that that's correct. It's just hit me now, because we're mixing 2 different frames, so inches and meters or centimeters. It would be so you'd have to. It would be more. It would be more if it's 25 meters. It would be a lot more than 8 inches, because that's 8 inches per foot. Okay, just bear with me, people. 1 second. Hello. Hi. Yeah. 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 Okay, where is it? Okay. Okay, babe. Okay, cool. Okay. I'll remember, but text me anyway, just in case you're running late or anything. Okay, babe. Bye. Bye. Oh, I thought I muted. Never mind. So you heard that. Doesn't matter. Okay. That wouldn't be 8 inches. It would be. You'd have to translate it into centimeters. But never mind. Same point.
All Earth should curve down and away from our feet, and by the time it reaches that distance of 40 kilometers, there should be 140 meters of curvature. And not only is there not
I think it's a lot more, but don't know.
40 meters. There's nothing. It's flat. So I just want flat earthers to think about this. There's no doubt that the Earth is flat and stationary. Why? Because not only is there no proof to the contrary.
No. My bad. Sorry, everybody. He translated it into miles. Duh. Sorry. Apologies. Just ignore all of that.
Extraordinary claims, such as that you live on a wobbly spinning ball, they require extraordinary proofs. And there's not one extraordinary proof for the BS globular model of the Earth, okay? So that's how you know we don't live on a sphere. There's absolutely no proof for it whatsoever, okay? And on top of that, we're doing observations like this and others where we prove that we're seeing distances across the flat ocean so much farther than we should if we lived on this theoretical spinning wobbly ball. All right. Hope I'll come to you again with a good observation in the coming days. We've had a little bit of kalima here, which is when the sand blows in from the Sahara, and it makes the sky white and the visibility is not so good. But as you can see from the photo yesterday, we're still able to crush the globe even when we don't have good visibility. That's how flat this place is. All right, everybody, take care. I'll be back with you soon. Bye.
Smashing. Now, to the globings that were misled by me saying, oh, no, that shouldn't be 8 because that's mixing 2 frames. Apologies if you jumped for joy and said, ha, he got it all wrong, because he didn't. He translated it to miles. So, no, not wrong. Okay, that's pretty much it. I'm going to go and look in the chat and see. Don't know. I'm looking. I think my chat might be frozen. Yeah. Okay. What channel is this? Rob Jones. Go back to the video. I'll show the channel. It's called This Divine Plane. Okay, that's it, guys. Oh God, this guy, newsreader. Let's see. Wait. This person apparently knows about lots of different things, but doesn't quite know any of the things that he discusses. So the capacitance changes because the plates physically move inside the chip based on inertia. Stop your retarded attempts to obfuscate. Oh, the ether doesn't exist, says newsreader. That's it, everybody. It's finished. The ether doesn't exist. The sun teleports its heat in the globe model. The sun teleports its heat through all of that sub-zero space. So the heat leaves the sun. Okay, the surface of the globe, sun, the heat. Oh, wait, I'll stop screen sharing so I can gesticulate. So the sun, or fireball, because like when they thought of the globe model, the only things that were bright and hot were really fire. They were the only things. So fireball, big fireball in space. Between the fireball and Earth, sub-zero temperatures, just like way sub-zero. Somehow the sunlight and heat manages to dance past it all and boom, have impact on the Earth. Care to replicate that in a model, like a physical model, like really, without the ether? Just go ahead and do it. Vacuum chamber. There we go. We're going to do it. Vacuum chamber, lights, plates. Oh, it's getting hotter. The ether is not air. Oh, I'm sorry that the globings are so stupid. And that guy, newsreader, oh, how dare you question my belief systems? Like, tough. You're wrong. You're wrong. You believe a fantasy. Newsreader, you believe a fantasy. Oh, I haven't got my globes here. I was going to show the speed differential. Like, oh, here versus here. Whoa. And going that way. No difference here versus here. Way. And going that way. Way. No difference. It's all relative. Because when you're on a train and the train station goes past you, it's because the train station's gone past you. There was somebody doing standing on one foot on the train station, really fast. Okay, there was somebody pouring a drink on the train station. They were pouring it like a Spanish in Galicia, pouring cider, where they pour like this. Way! There was somebody pouring like that at the train station that went funk. Interesting that. It's almost like the train station didn't go funk. It's almost like the train went funk, and you're a retarded person if you think that everything is relative. Oh no, you mean Einstein was a retarded? Yes, he was. Nikola Tesla said so. And I say it more. Okay, that's it, guys. Thank you, everybody. Ciao. Go and watch my previous upload. It's a re-upload of something where Resvetric says the sun does not travel through space because it doesn't fit within his model. It's like, oh, you're doubling two models. Like, hey, you're supposed to be discussing a reality. In reality, if the sun and the earth are traveling through space whilst the earth is orbiting, you should be able to describe that, but you can't. You can only describe earth going round or the whole thing going, but not both. Well, then that's not reality, is it? I can tell you what Santa has in his pockets, but I can't tell you what he had for breakfast too.